Happen. Gentlemen, welcome to the eClub of Silicon Valley, where we bring you unique programs of entrepreneurship, fellowship, and innovation. This week, we have a special treat for you. How many of you love to surf in the water? I'm a snowboarder. Being a Canadian, I'm Chris Cochran, Chair of Public Relations for this club, and also a Canadian. So I'm going to turn it over to one of our California boys, Mr. Rushton Hurley, who will introduce our speaker. Rushton, take it away.
Welcome, everybody. We've got Brett Morey with us today. He is a Rotarian. Going back to 2002, he actually joined the club here in the San Francisco Bay Area. But he's done lots of wonderful things as a part of his Rotary experience since, and we're about to hear him. And because that's far more interesting than what I have to say about him, we're going to pass it right his way. Brett, welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley.
Thank you, Rushton, and thank you all. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this so everyone can see it. Let me know that you're on, and I'll give you the rundown on what we're doing with the Surfers Unite Rotarian Fellowship. As Rushton had shared, I have been a Rotarian for over 16 years now, served in numerous capacities, just like I'm sure many of you. As president of my club down here, La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club, I currently serve as Rotarian advisor for the University City High School Interact Club, as well as the District Youth Service Chair. So I have a few hats, to say the least. Really wanted to talk to you guys. I thought this was a great opportunity. One of our Surfers Unite Rotarian Fellowship members is a part of your club, and Raquel had sent an email over to see if this would be of an interest of program, and I wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing to bring youth into Rotary and making champs in Rotary through exciting Rotary projects. So I'm going to go ahead and click through on this one and share the why. I think it's just like any organization or any other business. People know what they do, they know how they do it, they don't necessarily know why they do it. And so the purpose for this is to share, why would I start a Rotary Fellowship? Well, I looked at the many ways in which we all serve in our clubs, in our district, and help make a difference in the world. And when I looked at it, I go, well, the big thing that has come up in Rotary for years has been getting youth into Rotary. And so I thought, why not take the same things I've been doing here on a local level and magnify that around the world by starting a Rotary Fellowship? And so this is exactly what we've done. We want to make Rotary fun. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. That's how I look at it. And so my goals when I set this out back in May of last year, contacting Rotary International and saying, hey, I'd really like to start a Rotary Fellowship. What's the process, as you Canadians say, or what's the process for the rest of us? And so what we looked at was we wanted to connect Rotarians and Rotaractors and Interactors all over the world. We wanted to be able to host events and host each other as members. So when I've had the luxury of going to Rotary International in Portugal when I was president in 2013, I also had a luxury of surfing and hanging out with friends in Portugal as well, in Spain and France and other places along the coast. Also looking at ways in which we can attract youth to Rotary, and this is exactly what we're doing with Surfers Unite by hosting events with the Interact kids, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the bonfire events, not just bonfires, we bond. So we have bonfire events, and we do learn to surf events with them. And it's great because often we'll do hands-on projects like a park cleanup like we'll do this Saturday, but to actually create a fun event with them that they can invite their friends to is allowing them to now grow their Rotary clubs or their Interact clubs or their Rotaract clubs. So we're doing those types of things. Mentoring others, that's a big thing that I've looked at. Both of our kids happen to be in college now, and those are the things that I look to do as mentoring the future leaders of tomorrow through the things that we do in our youth service programs already, and this just expands that now. Paddle Out for Polio. This is another one that came with a great idea of a good friend of mine who is in Hawaii. He's also a board member, literally board member of Surfers Unite Rotarian Fellowship. And Sean Slenson and I were talking. He goes, what about like Paddle Out for Polio for a fundraiser? I said, fantastic. We can do a fun event, whether it's stand-up paddleboarding on a lake or whether it's, maybe even snowboarding on the hills there, Chris, whatever it may be. But we can really put a fun event together, surfing or what have you, that would put a face to Rotary and make it a fun community event. And then it's about sharing the aloha spirit. So I call this the champs of Rotary, and that's really what we're looking to do. And connecting, hosting, attracting, mentoring, paddle out, and sharing the aloha spirit is really what the Surfers Unite Rotarian Fellowship is all about. So just to kind of give you the overview, this started all as an idea of mine last May. The board behind me to my right actually brought out to Rotary International Convention in Atlanta, which was my second Rotary International Convention that I'd gone to, and literally got over 150 signatures from people all over the world on that board, front and back. We now have over 320 members in over 20 countries, and we've actually completed already 16 events while we were going through the process of getting the official Rotary designation as a Rotary Fellowship. So we were approved in December, and we are off and running. We now also have a website, which you can see there, surfersunite.org, and that will come up later in the presentation, so you guys can get online later and check that out. So surfersunite.org is really the driving force, but we also have all the social media in place and all that stuff. That's really what we started with. This website is fluid, and in fact, the update as of today or the other day is that in our recent news section, you'll see that speaking live with the eClub Silicon Valley will now be resonated on this page. But again, any of our surfing events, any of our community service type of events and activities that we can coordinate around the world will be listed here into the events section. People can join. And the real key that you're going to see in here is that it's very youth focused. So many service club or so many of our fellowships are really adult oriented, and that's fine. But if you're going to be part of the whiskey club or the beer club or the golfing club or whatever, it's probably not involving your high school kids that you're trying to mentor through programs, or your collegiate or community service based Rotaract clubs. And that's exactly the opposite of how we're focused. So we're looking at having Rotarians that help fund the club through their membership, but making it available and accessible to the youth, which I think is the key to our success. And some of the things that we have coming up, just to mention one, in fact, on March 3rd, we're going to do a Learn to Surf event for Rotaract clubs. I happen to speak at a number of different universities. Our Rotary Club actually sponsors a couple of Rotaract clubs here in San Diego, and working closely with SDSU, UCSD, and USD. But at Arizona State University and University of Arizona, I speak both on behalf of Rotary and also through other affiliations that I'm with in my business. And so it's a neat opportunity for me to take some of the collegiate kids from Arizona to drive out here and put them on boards and have a good time. So we're going to be doing that event on March 3rd, and you can see a little bit of that information as well. So it's building these relationships within these Rotaract clubs across the board. And then we have other events coming up, things like City to Surf. This is one that I've been involved with for a number of years, but it's neat to put a Rotary composite to it, because Hope Leadership Academy is focused on inner city kids. And you figure, okay, towns like San Diego, or maybe even children that might grow up in Sydney or Melbourne and other places around the world, well, they obviously are close to the coast. They must go surfing, not necessarily. And so now we are able to take 120 kids out to the water, put them on surfboards, do some Learn to Surf events. We have that event coming up on May 12th, and that's going to be here locally in San Diego. And these are the types of things that I think exist in many other communities that we can replicate as well. Another way which Rotary can get involved with another segment of our communities. And what's nice also is the partnership relationships that we're building. So one of the local surf companies here in San Diego that I've good friends with, the owner of Degree 33 Surfboards, we're going to be doing an event where we can actually give away some boards, that'll be a lot of fun. We have the RI convention coming into Toronto, Canada, and I am working right now to see if we can actually have a bit of Surfers Unite in that arena. So we'll see if we can actually get ourselves in the Rotary Fellowship Hall, working on that right now. So that's coming up on June 23rd through the 27th. And just let me recap some of the other events that we've done and things that are coming up. So one of the big events that we have, concert-wise, I know that Chris, your background in production, this might be of interest to you, is bands like Switchfoot. I've known the guys for many, many years. They grew up down here, and I used to do praise and worship for their dad's church when I was in college. But we put 15,000 people on the beach, raise over $220,000 each year for at-risk youth in San Diego. And it's any type of a venue like that we could put a face of Rotary in. So this year we're going to actually have a Rotary tent, not just our volunteers. Normally I have 25 to 30 volunteers of high school and college and other folks involved in. But this year, we're going to go beyond that and actually having a tent there to share the story of Rotary, getting others in the community involved. And also what's neat is the cross-function of the different Rotary clubs and building those connections greater than just simply, well, we're a club 10 miles to your north, and other than the district event, you never see them. So this is a really great venue. You can see in that picture in the top left, those are some students as well as some Rotarians of various colleges that we work with here. And then just being able to facilitate any of the volunteer activities for this large venue. One of the things I'm really excited about is going to be our 6th year as our Rotary Music Camp Learn to Surf event. This is a brainchild of mine after hosting a student from Germany back in 2012. And we've hosted a number of students through the Rotary Music Camp program. We bring in 24 international students from all over the world. They play with the San Diego Youth Symphony in what's called the International Youth Symphony. And they're here for those 3 weeks. They do a lot of concert events and venues. But this is really unique. You take an 18-year-old young man or young lady and say, okay, well, how long have you been playing the cello or the violin? Oh, about 14 years. Okay, great. Let's see what you got on a surfboard. And so it's taking Rotarians in our throughout our district, and of course, some of our road actors as well as high school surf team kids, and bringing them out in the water. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. And again, these are really easy ways to do things in the community. Another event that I think is really huge, I think it's a segment that perhaps is overlooked in our Rotary projects, is ways we can help those that are disabled. And Life Rolls On I got involved with about 4 years ago, so Team Pink is where it's at for us. We have a great group of Rotarians as well as Rotaractors and Interactors on that team. And we take 120, 130 disabled children and adults on adaptive boards out in the water. It is an absolute blast. Over 600 volunteers, and this whole foundation, Life Rolls On, actually does 12 events throughout the United States. And I think that there's going to be other, nonprofits like this in other areas that we could be doing exactly the same thing and giving a reason for other people to ask, well, what is Rotary? I thought that was just for old people or something. Yeah, no, not at all. And in fact, we can kind of put a face with that. This picture says a lot right there. Shows one of my good friends who was injured in a snowboarding accident in '93, along with a couple of high school and college students that I mentor and a good friend. So one of our other board members, Sean Slentz, up on the right, and then a group of Rotarians in that left corner there you can see that are helping out at the event. So it's a lot of fun, and those are the types of venues that I think really become an attractive quality for people to get involved in, inviting your friends and neighbors to do and a fun activity, and also for college students to say, hey, you know what, how do I grow my Rotaract club and make it fun? Well, this is a great way to do that, is venues like that. So getting to the action on, what are the do's and what have you, well, that's not really my focus per se, but my whole thing was to make it free for interactors and Rotaractors, and that would make it, the no barrier to entry aspect. And then, our simple dues are $20 a year for Rotarians, or a lifetime membership of $150 basically gets you about $48 worth of gear as well. So that's a great deal. And those are the things that we're looking to do in terms of merchandising and marketing, Rotary in a different way. You can see that, this dry fit shirt is something you can wear to the gym, something you can wear walking or biking. You don't have to be a surfer to put Rotary on you and have people ask, well, what is Surfers Unite all about? And, you can tell them all about it. But, these are the ways that I think that we could be really transforming the conversation of what is Rotary, and stop talking about 1.2 million people in 200 countries. That's great. Those are statistics. What I'm always interested about is, what is your passion? How can we use Rotary to fuel your passion? And that's exactly what we're doing. So I invite you guys, and anyone who chimes in later on to view this, is to take a look at our Instagram and Facebook feeds. You're going to see some really great information on past events, upcoming events, ways in which we're making a difference. We're being an inspiration, and just driving home, that Rotary is fun. Rotary has so much potential if you harness it right. And so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A so you guys can ask away.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. I love the themes that you've got in there, especially, you know, the focus on it needs to be fun. You know, I speak to teachers around the world, and I'm constantly talking about the value of fun. And, you know, when we talk about Rotary and declining numbers or anything like that, I mean, if it's not fun, then why wouldn't it decline, right? And
Right, exactly.
and I think that you know, the appeal to young people is a particularly powerful piece of this. But tell me more about the connection you've had with some of the Rotary, you know, in Arizona, in your area. We've got a lot of people who spend time in Rotary in our club and are interested in supporting Rotary programs. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I think what's really neat is, as a, you know, like many of you, as someone who's spent 27 years plus of their career, and I travel all over the country. I cover all of Canada, the United States for my company. But, you know, what's neat is that, you know, having the opportunity to drop into a Rotaract meeting and meet the next generation of leaders that we look to, you know, to connect them into Rotary once they depart from their university or from their community-based clubs in their careers, from that 18 to 35 into, you know, being a Rotarian. And really, you know, this is what the foundation of this is, because literally through our membership-driven database that I've created for Surfers Unite, I'm able to help the high school graduates going off to university. Let's say, take Amy Ibrahimovic, for example, from University City High School over to University of British Columbia in Vancouver, and connecting her with the Rotaract Club members in that club that I've met before through past events. So that's really what I think is the missing fabric, without bringing, you know, interactors and Rotaractors into a fellowship. So being able to be that connector, if you will, and that's so vital. And the same is true with Rotarians. I mean, Rotarians maybe that have been part of a club, and then, you know, they've already served as president. They kind of feel like there's nothing left for them to do. Maybe they join another club. Well, that's great, but, you know, you've got to find a way in which you can twine, you know, a hobby and interest and youth and fun into it. For a lot of people, that's a huge driver. So,
Chris, Stratco, Cecilia, good to have you guys on the call. You're all members of the Rotary.
I have a question.
go ahead.
So Brett, tell us more about that event, the camp for learning how to surf. Like, how does that go? And like, I've been thinking about this myself. How long does it learn to actually, you know, learn to surf?
Well, good. Knowing you're in Nicaragua, I'll come down and personally teach you. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The greatest thing is that we have a lot of friends in the surf community, number one, and I've been surfing for over 34 years. But basically taking a bunch of foam boards down to the beach, putting them on it, getting their natural balance so they know which foot to foot forward, and then taking them out and just, you know, just the whitewash itself. Something you can basically jump off and stand up in water, right? So I've had the luxury of taking, we had a dozen students from India. One of the Rotarians in my club had done an exchange program where kids went over for 3 weeks to New Delhi, and then we hosted these kids from New Delhi here in San Diego. And again, you know, unless you grow up on the coastline of India, you're not going to be at the beach. Some of these kids never go to the beach because it's 12 hours away. So the point is to take them out in the water, get them comfortable with that, and then just give them, you know, build some success. Even if you hold their hands and put them on the board and have them step on, and then you give them a slight push and a pull, you know, they're thrilled to death. In fact, what is such a blessing to me is to think as like the Rotary Music Camp. These kids get to go to Disneyland, they go to, you know, SeaWorld, they go to the zoo, they do all these amusement parks while being hosted by Rotarians and Rotary friends throughout the community during their 3-week stay. And they're surveyed at the end as to what their favorite activity was. And I'm totally blessed that in the 5 years I've been doing the Learn to Surf event, these kids, whether they're from Russia or from Poland or from Czechoslovakia and Germany and, you know, the UK, Ireland, you name it, wherever they're from, Canada, Japan, they are all saying that surfing was their number one. And of course, they're thrilled to have pictures and videos of them out there in the water, actually standing up on boards too, which is fun. So we definitely encourage them to try. And, you know, sometimes you're going to have a kid that, you know, or even a young adult who's a little bit discouraged by it. Hey, it's not easy, but it's something that we really work to, you know, to get them up on the board and get them some success and help them have a fun time doing it. So We do these Learn to Surf events for high school kids through combining various Interact clubs. Rotaract, I've done it both on the community side, and this is going to be a major one on the collegiate side that I'm looking forward to. And then just doing this again within Rotary. We've done this as a family of Rotary within my Rotary Club when I was president, and it was a lot of fun too, because again, even if you live in a beach community, doesn't mean that you surf. And it was really fun to put adults and kids out on boards and get them out there together.
That's awesome. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Chris got a question.
Okay, as a snowboarder, somebody who lives in the land of the Great White North, and with a foot of the stuff just outside my door today, if I were to get on a surfboard, how similar is it to snowboarding? Like, would it pick up easy?
That's a great question. And I will tell you, as someone who skied for 15 years and started snowboarding in 93 when he met a cute surfer girl in college who happened to be a snowboarder, it's the exact opposite.
Really?
In snowboarding, you have to put your weight forward in order to pivot, in order to make your turns. In surfing, it's the exact opposite. Your back foot on your stomp pad is the one that's going to drive your direction. So it's just a mental thing. You know, the one part that is probably very similar is dropping into a wave is much like dropping into a half pipe on a snowboard. The difference is that when I wipe out, I don't have anything to worry about. It's just water, not an icy stiff wall. But no, it's a good question.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, good, Chris.
I have another question for you, Brett. Tell us about the process of forming a Rotary Fellowship. How complicated is this? How long does it take? You mentioned that you just got approved this past December, is it?
Correct, yes. The process was longer than I thought it should be. I'll be very eloquent in how I put that. However, there's a vetting process, and you got to realize that you're working not only with Rotary International, but also a group of Rotarians who already have established fellowships. And so they're looking for a continuity of, they really want to have, a fellowship that is far reaching and isn't specific. So what I mean by that is, whether it's the cycling club, whether it's the running club, whichever fellowship you might want to, explore, and please look at the ones that are out there. There's a lot of great fellowships that exist already. Is by starting the fellowship going to take away, or diminish in any way that? Is there enough interest globally? One of their major focuses for us was that we had to have at least 5 members on our executive team from 5 different countries. Well, you would think that'd be pretty easy. However, my treasurer is in Kenya. And so therefore I had to be a little bit creative. Our public relations person is out of Australia. So the point is, it isn't easy, but I've learned a lot, and I would absolutely be happy to share what I've learned privately with anyone who has an interest in starting a Rotary Fellowship. Definitely, I would say there was some transition within that group of Rotary Fellowships that just occurred. And then, of course, with the loss of the RI president, the prioritization kind of diminished with that. So that being said, I would think 6 to 9 months is probably about what it takes to do a Rotary Fellowship from start to finish. And it took us, right at 7 months to get approved. But at that point, we already had over 300 members. So it's like, ready or not, here we come.
Cool.
Awesome.
Brett, tell us a little bit about your work. I understand that you work with an environmental company, different kinds of fuels, and I'm curious how that might relate to your interest in surfing as well.
Well, actually, that's an interesting one. So my whole background, if you think of my career, I've worked for big companies like American Honda Motor Company and with Toyota. So as a factory rep and corporate, et cetera. So transportation has been an element that I've been involved with for a large part of my career. In 2011, I left Toyota for this venture with an established California company that had started in 97. And at that point, we were doing business in 11 countries. Now we're doing business in 25. So I'm the director of sales for Total Power. And we are a chemical engineering firm that reduces emissions and reduces fuel consumption all over the world. So anything that burns diesel, biodiesel, heavy fuel oil, or gas, we're helping companies achieve sustainability at no cost. So there's your elevator speech for that. Thank you.
Very cool. Cecilia, did you have a comment or question?
Well, I was going to ask, and when do you work? because it sounds like you keep pretty busy with your surfing venture and the kids and all of that. But what a great way to bring young people to the Rotary organization.
Thank you, Cecilia. That's very kind.
Well, I'm very active in our district, 5170 up in San Jose, and we have the largest Interact district in the world. It's 7,000 members. So I think we do a pretty good job of engaging young people, but I think it's seriously needed all over the country. And I even hear in clubs in my district that they would like more ideas and better ideas about how to do that. And even though some of them may not be in, near a beach, there are other things that are relevant to the area that they're in that they could do, I think.
I agree, and thank you for that. I think, first of all, I know both 5140 and 5170, I know you guys have outstanding RILA programs as well.
Yes.
So part of that component is also, I mean, if you think about just having a body of water, even if it's a lake, you can still do this with stand-up paddle boards. I mean, Surfers Unite isn't specific to just surfing. We'll accept the boogie boarders and the stand-up paddlers as well. But the point is, even if you were doing kayaking on a river or whatever activity it might be, think about it as Rotarians. It's like when we do fellowships, it might involve an evening club, let's say that has a wine and beer kind of component to it, and it's Rotarians standing around and socializing and engaging in that way. That's great and that's needed. But think about how when we do projects, for instance, we're going to be doing our 6th project as a Rotary Club at Camp Pendleton, Marine Corps Base. And these are major projects, usually about $50,000 or so. And when we do this, it's like we're involving college students as well as our families, as well as our neighbors and friends. And it gives them an opportunity to serve alongside. Well, you might be painting a building, and that's work, and it's fun. But, how better is it to then say, hey, in a couple of weeks, we're actually going to be doing an event at the beach. Bring your family and friends. Well, now you're opening up a whole other segment of Rotary that, in the fellowship aspect that makes it really engaging and fun for other people. So I love it.
Great.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question?
I see that we just had Raquel join us a little late. Raquel, good to have you in there as well.
Hey, Raquel, it's Brett.
Hey, Brett.
we will continue the conversation after we finish the recording. Brett, I'll give you the last word here in just a minute. But to all of you who have taken part today, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure to check off the attendance button a little farther down, and to also leave a message. We love to hear from the people who come and join us each week. If Brett has time, you might even respond to some of those items in the forum down there.
There you go. Do I hit the stop sharing button is when I can do that. I probably. So I do want to acknowledge Raquel. Thank you, Raquel, for introducing me to your club president and to your team here. It's a pleasure to speak to the eClub of Silicon Valley, and it's nice to have more friends in the Bay Area from where I've been in my past as well. And at the same time, also, Raquel, you've been a great driving force for me down here with connecting me with others in the Baja California region. So that's been outstanding and a lot of fun. So thanks for taking part in our events and connecting us with other people.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to make progress with you. So hope you enjoyed the meeting.
Yes, fantastic. And I encourage you guys offline, if you have questions or thinking of ways in which it could be utilized in your communities, drop me a note. You've got the email right there, and obviously other ways to connect with us on social media. And also, I'd encourage you too to consider going on to surfersunite.org and joining our fellowship. It's a lot of fun.
All right, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Rushton.